Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Cohen. I'm an immigration lawyer with Siskind Susser in Memphis, Tennessee. Wanted to tell you all about my experiences today at the Nebraska Service Center Open House. Nebraska Service Center is one of the 5 service centers across the country that process altogether 70% of all benefits applications. So for us immigration attorneys, it's really something of a curiosity to be able to visit where we've been filing thousands and thousands of benefit applications. So this is what I saw today. It was a bit of a gloomy day. High humidity and lots of raining. So I didn't stick around too long afterward. Came back to the shelter of my hotel room where I am providing this information right now. So, I really enjoyed this open house. It was really just interesting to get a look around, and the tour was fascinating. We did also have several presentations, good access to officers from the various service lines. And of course, there was a lot of platitudes about the mission of the Nebraska Service Center, recitation of the basic law that a lot of us know. Took up a fair amount of the presentation, unfortunately, because I had plenty of questions I really would have liked to have asked. But we'll be following up with the customer service representative, so hopefully I will have some further information to share. I also learned that I believe they're going to be doing another one of these open houses in Vermont, but they're going to make them more specific to the particular service line. So I think that they're going to be doing O's, L's, and P's with Vermont Service Center, and they're going to have an in-person. It's an in-person presentation, but they'll have it also available by phone. So we'll look for that. Now, a lot of people, when they think of Nebraska Service Center, they think of one building. They think of 850 South Street, where everything gets filed. But there's actually 3 buildings that are involved. There is the Highlands building, which is actually where we toured, which was built in 2006, and that they process a lot of the adjudications are done there. The Star building is, of course, where all the mail is received and where all the mail goes out to attorneys and to the various service centers as well for when they're transferring for adjudications to be conducted, for example, at the Highlands building. So the Star building is certainly the one that most people think of. There's also, and that was built in 1994, there's also a government building, the federal building, I should say, they're all government buildings, but the federal building was built in 1982, and that's actually where that Denny building is where the fraud division is located. So just a few things to note. The Nebraska Service Center adjudicated the 3 buildings together, adjudicated 1 million benefit applications this past year. So, very, very impressive. In terms of employees, there are 982 employees with Nebraska Service Center, and there are 365 contractors. So 1,300 personnel working at the Nebraska Service Center. And when I say working at, I use that term a little bit loosely because they do actually have the benefit. They allow a lot of their employees to actually work from home. And they can even take files home. Imagine that. They can take them to their house. But they have to receive training first. They have to have been in government service for at least a year, I believe. And they're even subject to site visits at their homes. So site visits are not just for our employer clients and for all you employers out there. It's also for these officers' houses to make sure that they have a good, safe workspace. And they conduct internal audits as well to make sure that all files are accounted for, thank goodness. So the officers are actually unionized. They're part of the American Federation of Government Employees, which was something interesting that I did not know. They have various cubicles for the officers. Everything looks very nice and clean. Maybe they cleaned it up just for us. I'm not sure, but it looked pretty nice. They have various service lines as well, which Actually, let's talk about that for a moment. So they have an employment service line, which deals with I-140s and 485 applications. They have a family and business division, which actually does I-130s, K3, K4s. They do H-1Bs, but of course, those H-1Bs are for the same employer for a continuation with no material change in that particular position. They have a humanitarian division that does TPS, I-601s, I-212s, and I-918s, which are U visas. They have a refugee, asylum, and DACA division as well. And they also and they have a background check unit for DACA. They also have a document production division, which they basically are adjudicating EADs and advanced parole applications. They have a data and records division, security fraud division, and of course, customer service as well. So some interesting things I'll note actually about customer service. A lot of times I always, my impression was that when you call the National Customer Service number and they take down your request, say a request for expedite or a petition that is outside of normal processing times, or even for some type of USCIS error, for example. I always thought that they routed those requests while they were typing those emails while they were on the phone with you. They were routing them to the officers who is actually working on the case. That's not actually correct, though. It's sent to Nebraska Service in our customer service, and they processed 325,000 customer service requests this past year. They do at that division all of the expedite requests and processing outside of normal processing times. So they only route it to the officer if there's a question that the officer needs to look at in particular. So I did find that very interesting. I could see when I looked at that section that they even had a congressional unit where they are attending to congressional requests. And I recall that congressmen and senators, they have their own USCIS contact information that we are not privy to, we the public are not privy to. And so that is where those congressional inquiries are dealt with. So that was very interesting to note. One other thing I wanted to talk to before I just wrap up this this brief description of my time is that the lock boxes. So the lock boxes are basically handled by contractors. These lock boxes were developed to have a more effective flow of intake into Nebraska Service Center. It's actually J.P. Morgan does a lot of the data entry, depositing of fees, issuance of receipt notices, and basically preparation of the file. They're scanning everything, so you never want to put tabs into your file. You should use just colored paper instead as the divider between your exhibits, because they scan it all in and they send it, they electronically upload it to USCIS's systems, and then they also assemble the file in a particular way for delivery to the Nebraska Service Center. So it's interesting to note how heavily involved contractors are in that process. And the officer with whom we spoke, who was doing the tour, said it actually is very helpful for them, saves them a lot of time in the processing of the petitions and benefit applications. So just a few things to note. I am going to be writing a much more detailed article, gain some very interesting insights from the employment division, the family division, business, humanitarian divisions. So I'm going to be sharing that in more detail, but just wanted to give you a quick overview of my time at the open house, and I will be communicating with you more about all of that.